Adebayo Kolade is a vet doctor by training, but an educator at heart. He's passionate about finding young writing talents and publishing their works. He joined me with a brilliant 12-year-old author to discuss the importance of catching them young. Yeah, but you've been publishing for children, Nigerian children specifically. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been quite fascinating. Actually, the inspiration for this is from my background. I started writing early. We used to call it cock and bull stories in those days. I wrote the first one at age 7. I would write, my brother will illustrate. And then I also grew up in an environment where the average publisher will not seek out an aspiring author. But I was lucky that somehow somebody discovered me and I was published as a teenager. My first book, properly published, was released while I was still a teenager. And, there's this story about Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree and then an apple falling on his head, and he went from there to discover the law of gravity. And then it was asked that should we all go and sit under apple trees and wait for apples to fall on our heads? And Edward de Bono it was who said, rather than sit and wait for apples to fall, we should go and shake the apple trees and let them fall. So it's like, let us intervene to make sure that we repeat this success story. So having gone full circle, I felt that I should, as a way of giving back to the system that threw me up, look for younger talents, particularly in unlikely places, and give them a platform to voice their talents. And that is what we're doing with the Enjoy Juvenilia series, is to look for fledgling talents. I'm keen about those who are much younger than the age I was then, and give them a voice, give them a platform, and just as they say, catch them young. And I'm hoping, like, as footballers are selling players, that in the future we will sell authors.
Wow. So what have you seen? What have you observed so far? How talented are Nigerian children?
What I have seen, it's a totally different picture from what we like to say about Nigeria. You know, year after year, we talk about how the standard of education is falling, how students are failing WAEC, but I observed that that corpus of talent is still existing, but is wasting away. Because, you know, a nation does not need millions of prophets, just a few. In this emerging generation, we still have that few. Many with raw talent, many of them also in unlikely places. And because they are standing in unlikely places, they tend to go unrecognized, unharnessed, and then they get wasted. So, to my mind, Nigeria has got talent. But what is happening is that in many instances, people are looking in the wrong places. Because we are quick to look at elite schools, elite environments, and generation after generation, it does happen that the best brains are not found in the best schools. So what we have done on our part is to tell ourselves that you might find gold on the streets, dirty, requiring polish, and get ready to do that work of polishing gold.
Wow, Tony, I like your book.
Thank you, sir.
I like your poems.
Thanks, sir.
First of all, I'm a big fan of poets, because I can't write poems myself. You know, so when I see poets, I'm always fascinated and I hold them in awe, you know. And then for you to be 12 and writing poems, that takes you on top of my list of heroes. How did you write these poems? When did you write them? This was published in, let me see, what year was that?
This year.
That's this year, 2015. So when did you write them?
Well, it all started in GS1 when I first entered the school. During our second term, my teacher said that you should write a poem about something. I gave us an assignment about poems. Then I wrote one and I showed my mom. My mom now said that was good. And I wanted to go and drop it as my assignment because we were meant to print, but at that time we didn't have a printer at that time. So when I now dropped it, thinking that we were going to print only one, my mother now came to my room and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I finished my assignment, so I'm having my siesta." She said, "Is it only one you're going to write? Why not write like 2, 3, or 4? Then I said, "Okay." Then I wrote 2 others there. 3 others. So when I now went to go and print it, I came back to school, only to find out that I got in top of English that time. So I now encouraged, then he now found out I was good in writing poems. He now told me to write more
poems.
It was coming.
And then you kept writing.
I kept writing and writing and writing.
Okay, I'm looking at a poem here. Rainbows. Rainbows so colorful. You come after the rain. You are a beauty in the skies. You are lovely and wonderful. You bring joy and happiness. You bring laughter and peace. You bring good tidings and good cheer into this small world of ours called the earth. Rainbows, truly a marvelous sight. I'm reading a poem that tells me the writer is a deep thinker. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did you come about this? Or you just, you just sat down one day, you saw a rainbow, and then it just came to you?
Yeah, I
or
was
you
just sitting and watching the horizon after it rained. Then I saw the rainbows. And I thought what the rainbows signified. Then I started writing.
That's how it came. How far do you want to go with this?
Much far. It's not only poems I like to write. I like to write storybooks, books, not only poems. So I guess I'll be more than a poet than a writer.
Well done. Proud of you. Well done. Okay, Bayo, I mean, is Tony's story, the story of so many other children you've worked with?
Unless we give them opportunity, we will not be able to bring out the gem in these children. And that is my point, that we should create more platforms for this. Yes, what they're doing sometimes can be laughable, but what is laughable today is the seed of what is going to be celebrated tomorrow.